Do it.
Get in.
Yeah. Ballpits make me think of disease. That's how I know that I'm an adult, because I walk into a Chuck E. Cheese and I'm like, oh, I see why we haven't gotten rid of chicken pox yet. You know I'm right? Like we've all seen a child sneeze. They have no shame. They wear snot as an accessory. Anyways, my name is Jack Simon. My pronouns are they, them, theirs, despite the Jack thing going on. And I am transgender.
Woo!
Oh, thank you. And this is I'm just gonna level set here because at a show like this, probably people know what that is, but just in case, I think in popular media, transgender is usually represented as somebody who's raised as a man who now realizes that they're a woman. But transgender can also mean someone who is raised as a woman who now realizes that they are a man. Or they can be someone like me, they're non-binary, which means that I started out in one gender category, womanhood, I started headed over the other one, and then I got distracted because there's really yummy vegan food in the middle. In other news, I'm also bisexual. I have a really hard time making choices. How did you know? Okay, but now that we've level set though, I want to get into the bit. Who here likes dogs? Yeah, okay, not a controversial opinion. Okay, who here really likes dogs to the point that it is weird? Okay, wow, this is a more committed dog audience than the previous night I was at. Really liking dog people, you are my people. I'm a longtime dog lover. Doglover82 was my Gmail at 14. That was also the same time, there's no O in lover. That was also the same time I, at age 14, decided I was going to make a dog breeding video game. Yeah, I know, except I couldn't code. So I made the whole game with pen and paper. What I'm trying to tell you is that 14-year-old me loved dogs so much that 14-year-old me loved dogs so much that I invented a dog breeding tabletop role-playing game. It was like D&D, except instead of Dungeons and Dragons, it was just dogs and more dogs. The best part of this is that it hadn't yet occurred to me that one could use dice for randomness in a game like this, so the whole thing ran on coin flips. My thumbs got very tired. I think I was so obsessed with dogs, I think maybe there should have been some sort of intervention, right? Like, I wish someone had looked at 7-year-old me and been like, hey Jack, because this was 7 to 14, hey Jack, I see you really like dogs. What if you really liked tax law? Your future self is going to be so grateful to have that information hard-coded to your brain. Because that's what happens, right? When you're so obsessed with something, that you're just going to remember that forever. The fun thing is, though, I think sometimes adulthood is about reclaiming things that you wish had happened to you in the past, right? So tonight I'm going to be sharing some tax facts with us. Totally, yeah, taxes, woo, yeah. I do want to say, I want to acknowledge here, knowing as much as I do about dogs now, it's okay. For example, last year, my girlfriend and I were able to park in our U-Haul in a stranger's driveway while we were moving because I was able to correctly identify his Nova Scotia duck-tolling retriever. Knowing much about dogs is incidentally useful. Tax fact number 1. I'm serious. There's a difference between a tax deduction and a tax credit. A tax deduction is when the government ignores a certain amount of money you made in a year and only taxes you on the rest. A tax credit is when the government straight up takes money off of the top. Tax facts.
Thank you for looking out.
Thank you, yeah, no problem. Back to the dog thing. The fun thing is when you are a child that people think is a girl, I'm not, but if you're a child that people think is a girl and they see that you're highly obsessed with an animal, they're just going to assume that that animal's a horse. For example, when I was when I told you all that I wish there had been an intervention, there technically was one. My parents came up to me and were like, "Hey, 7-year-old Jack, I see you really like dogs. What if you really liked horses?" I want to acknowledge that there's a stereotype to horse girls. They're either off in their own little world, or they're kind of kinky, or both. I would say I didn't vibe with horse girl. I'm non-binary. At best, I was a horse neutral. I mean, does this scream horse girl? No, it screams Mormon missionary who just got off a Queer Eye. I remember the weirdest birthday present I ever got. My grandmother sent me 48 plastic horses for my birthday. I remember looking at them on the ground and I was just like, what the fuck, Grandma? I ended up being okay with it because I had 118 plastic dogs and they had needs for steeds. I'm gonna let that one settle. So what's fun though is like my mom though, she couldn't deny the dog thing. Like, because I had this kind of annoying habit of correcting her whenever she misidentified a dog breed. I'd be like, because you have to understand though, like she lived in a world that every other dog was a border collie mix, and I knew that there was a world where that was actually a Finnish Spitz, mother. She betrayed me though. One day, we went to pick out a wallpaper for my bedroom. I was 9. And I picked the dog wallpaper because whatever wallpaper would I pick, you know? And she looked at the wallpaper and she was like, oh, honey, that's for boys.
Oh.
You should have the horse wallpaper. And that's how I had a horse bedroom from ages 9 to 14. Horse girls are not born, they are made. Tax fact number 2. There's a certain type of tax deduction that a business has access to. It's called a depreciable asset tax. It's when a business owns an item that loses value over time, and so as that item loses value, you can take that loss in value as a loss or a tax deduction on your taxes. You're welcome. Tax facts. I want to be generous to my parents. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt, right? Like, there had to be a reason why they were so insistent that I like horses, aside from blatant sexism. Maybe they were just trying to prevent me from being a horse hater. I can say now I'm not a horsephobe. I know who Seabiscuit is. Some of my friends are horses. They like my horse girl jokes. But in all seriousness, if you have a child that likes dogs, and then you insist that that child should like horses, that is a terrible financial decision. My dad had an MBA, he should have known better. All I'm saying here is my parents should be so glad I didn't fall off their little dog and pony show. Thank you. I do have one legitimate, very good reason for why I think my parents were so insistent that I should like horses. And it has something to do with tax fact number 3. Horses are a detectable asset. All right, thank you so much. You guys are great.